Okay, recording. Welcome to ECO 501 Section 1, Week 4. This week we'll be going through the pre-recorded video lectures, which I updated, I think, last Saturday. So by now, you have probably looked at them. So we're going to discuss those video lectures today. So let me start because I'm having connectivity problem. I don't know when I'll be kicked out. Oh, sorry. I have to give the files. Give the files. Oh, oh, here it is. Can you see the text file?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so our main emphasis this week will be to do a little review of what equilibrium in the market basically is and what demand functions are. In topic 2, we will be extending the concept of marginal analysis and how this concept is related to something called marginal change and average change. In topic 3, we will be discussing when marginal analysis doesn't work anymore, or what is the basis of which something new can be introduced, which we will be defining as net present value. Many of you may be familiar with the concept of present value. Those who have forgotten, don't worry. Once we get to that point, it will be quite clear. Today's new topic is how to target a product, what switching costs can you experience, and how to position your product. This is a topic that we will be introducing as topic number 4, but we will come back to it at the end again. And the new concept is elasticity of demand, topic 5, elasticity of demand, topic 6, how they look in graphs, and topic 7, what factors affect elasticity. Based on that, we will go to assignments, but the assignment that we will have for this particular week. So what I'll do, I'll just get down to the slides. Okay. So this is the one, huh? Yes. Okay. So basically, what we did was we said that equilibrium is nothing but when demand and supply equalize each other at the market price. Price is a signal for the households. Price is also a signal for the sellers. Okay, and then what we said, what in our model is a prediction. It predicts what people are expected to do. It does not tell us what people actually do. This is a big fundamental or philosophical basis of the model, that whatever models we will encounter in this course, they predict what people will do. They don't tell us what actually people do. So based on this argument, demand is not actually how much people actually demand, but what they plan to buy in the next time period. So if the next time period is a festival, for example, whether that's in Bangladesh, Nepal, or any other country, then definitely we expect that certain types of consumptions will go up for households because it's a festival next month. So what is the predicted demand? After the festival happens, yes, we will know whether people demanded more than we predicted, less than we predicted, but demand is always your desired rate of purchase. Similarly, based on what households will demand, the projections that we make at the beginning of this period for the festival, how much do we plan to sell? That means how much do we plan to produce if we are sellers? This is the supply curve. So the demand is actually what people predict they will buy. Supply is actually what sellers predict they will sell. And then we said that there are 3 possibilities, that if demand is more than supply at a particular price, then there's shortage. If there is shortage, price has a tendency to increase. Demand is less than supply. That means supply is more. So there's surplus in the market. So if there's surplus in the market, prices tend to fall. And the last possibility is that demand is equal to supply at a particular price, which is equilibrium. Now, markets are never in equilibrium. We said that because market equilibrium is very much like the human body temperature, 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit. If we take everybody's temperature right now, nobody's temperature is going to be 98.4. But that's the standard against which we measure the actual outcomes. So I think this is quite evident. And the individual demand was basically what the household demands. Market demand is the sum total of all the households. How did we translate from individual demand to market demand? Whatever behavior households exhibit as individuals will also be the same behavior the market will exhibit as the sum total of all the activities. Am I clear? Nobody's saying anything. Everybody's following what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then
Can
what? Yes.
Can we have an example of equilibrium?
Or can we have an example of equilibrium? Right. Okay. So this is equilibrium. What does it mean? It means at a particular market price. Over here, it's P. This is exactly how much households are willing to buy. At the same time, at that particular price, this is also the same amount that sellers are willing to sell. So in the last 2 weeks, we used the balance. I said that this is the demand, what the households are thinking. This is the supply, what the sellers are thinking. So if you have the market price, the balance are equal, then there's no surplus, there's no shortage. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So if we have no surplus, no shortage, then everybody is happy. Okay, and that is the equilibrium. But in reality, equilibrium will never exist. There's always some kind of surplus, some kind of shortage in the market. But we use this concept just as a benchmark. Okay. Then what I said was the demand function. If you remember, we use functional relationships to make a relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. The independent variable is the variable that happens first. In this case, all these variables in the bracket: price of the product, price of substitute, price of complement, income, and etc. Dependent variable, in this case, quantity demanded, QD, is the variable that changes after the independent variable, change in price, and because of the independent variable, change in price. Why do we need this a particular relationship between the independent and dependent? Otherwise, two events can happen one after another, and automatically we will be equating that the first one is the independent, the second one is the dependent. Okay? All right? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll just stop share and I'll go for the whiteboard. What we did was, is it? So we're saying that, oh, I'm sorry. Quantity demanded is a function of, if somebody is not familiar with mathematics, just tell me. This is independent by definition, always on the right. And anything on the left is dependent. So what is independent? Independent changes first. Changes first. Dependent changes after and because of independent. So in our example, when price changes, okay, if price goes up, then we can expect something here to change. What is it? Quantity demanded will fall, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is the law of demand. Law of demand, we know that if price goes up, other factors remaining unchanged, then the relationship is negative to each other. Okay, now what happens if we write quantity demanded like this? Quantity demanded is now function of price of substitute. What is substitute? If X and Y are two goods, if X is a substitute to Y or Y is a substitute to X, what is the relationship between the two? Isn't it X or Y?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If we define that no, quantity demanded is a function of the price of complements. So what is the relationship between X and Y? Complements means they
X and Y.
yes, correct. So now look, if P, the price of substitute increases, what happens? The original good becomes more attractive now, right?
Yes.
So the quantity demanded for X will increase. See, they're moving in the same direction. What about complements? If the price of the complement increases and our budget remains unchanged, what will happen to the quantity demanded of X? It will fall. So they're moving in opposite directions. এটা বুঝতে কারো অসুবিধা হচ্ছে? Does anybody have any problem regarding this?
Can you please repeat this, sir?
Okay. X and Y are substitutes of each other. Okay, let's say X is Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, and this is Pepsi. If the price of Pepsi increases, okay, and the price of Coke remains unchanged, won't the demand for Coca-Cola increase?
Yes, it will increase, sir.
It will definitely increase because we are not consuming them together. So if the price of one of them increases, the other one becomes more dear. And if we can switch to that other one very quickly, then we go to the grocery shop and then we just buy the alternative. So if the price of the substitute increases, the demand for the original good will also increase. They will move in the same direction. The reverse thing will be observed if we are looking at complement goods. We defined complement goods as goods that we consume together. So the relationship becomes X and Y, like one lady just said. So what happens? Our budget is fixed. Budget fixed. Okay, so for example, we want to have a pizza. This is X. And we also want to have a drink with it, whatever drink we like. This is Y. Now, pizzas and drinks are consumed together. So one is a complement of the other. If the price of drinks increases and our budget for pizza and drink is fixed throughout the whole month, won't we consume less pizza and drinks this month than we did last month?
Yes, sir, it will.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the thing is, how are we, what is our independent variable? Over here, the independent variable was price, and we say that there's always a negative relationship. If one increases, the other one decreases. But if the independent, but if the independent variable is substitutes, then we see that they move in the same direction. If the independent variable is a complement, they move in different directions. And the other last thing is quantity demanded of a particular commodity X is a function of, say, income. Can we give a positive or relation or negative relationship always? Okay, let me say, like when income increases, the demand for some goods increase, right? The demand for some goods also decrease. Don't you think so?
Yes, sir.
For example, when your income increases, your demand for high-end mobiles will increase.
And inferior goods will
Ah.
decrease.
And when when your income increases, your demand for some low-end goods will fall. So when your income is increasing and your demand is also increasing, we call these income superior goods. And otherwise, we say income inferior. Now, the logic that I wanted to show was that when we talk about price, we have a definite relationship. They move in opposite directions. But when we are defining the two goods as price of substitute or price of complements, we see different relationships. In the case of substitutes, they move in the same direction. In the case of complements, they move in opposite directions. And when we are looking at income as the main variable, then we can tell from common sense, when our income increases, our demand for high-end products or luxurious products will increase. Our demand for less high-end or less luxurious products will fall. So we define them as income superior and income. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so the next thing that we looked at was that when demand and supply, we're looking at it in three ways. Here it is, the main commodity, law of demand, then we have related goods, substitutes and complements, and then we have income. Now, if we look at table 2.2, that clearly explains which commodity predicts to be what type of behavior. For example, if there is an increase or decrease in the substitute good, you tell me what will happen. Substitute good has fallen in the price. So our demand for the original good will fall. Doesn't that make sense? If the price of Pepsi falls, what
Yes,
happens
sir.
to the demand for Coke? It falls. So graphically, what will happen? The demand for Coke will shift to the left. Can you visualize it, everybody? If the price of Pepsi falls, if our original good is Coca-Cola, we will be demanding less Coca-Cola now than before, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So visually, what happens? The demand function for Coca-Cola, it will move to the left or shift to the right. What will happen? Any leftward movement is a decrease horizontally. Any rightward movement is an increase horizontally. So if the price of Pepsi falls, the demand for Coca-Cola will fall. So what will happen to the Coca-Cola demand curve? It will shift to the left. Can you visualize it?
Yes, sir.
And over here in this graph, we see that. If the price of Pepsi falls, then our original good demand, Coca-Cola, it becomes more attractive. And we will be introducing a concept called switching costs. If it's very simple, very easy to switch, then we will definitely go for the alternative, which is our main good, Coca-Cola, and the demand for Coca-Cola will increase to the right. When we are looking at a graph, any rightward shape is a positive, that means it increases. Any leftward shape is a negative, that means it indicates a decrease. Okay? Right? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me get back to that thing again. Okay. Topic one, topic two. Okay, now we're going to do this marginal analysis. Okay. Okay. Before I get to the slides, what we said that last week we said, and I think in week 2 also we said a little bit, that when we consume something, we never consume 10 units in one shot. we consume gradually. When we produce something in a particular period of time, we never produce 50,000 units in one shot. Maybe we produce every 500 units, 500, then 1,000, 1,500, etc. So basically, our analysis is that we are producing or consuming gradually, unit by unit. This type of analysis we have defined as marginal analysis. That's just a jargon, technical term. But what marginal analysis actually shows is that we are moving one unit by one unit. Now, we also said that for any benefit, we have to pay a price. So if we want a good grade, we have to work hard. That's the price we pay. Now, when will we go for a decision? When our additional benefit is more than the additional cost. This is benefit, this is cost. So if our additional benefit is heavier than the additional cost, we will definitely go for the activity. We said this is common sense, and we said that last week. If it's like this, additional cost is more than additional benefit, then we don't go for the activity. You remember these things that I said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. Then, so now this we said today we will extend it a little bit. This thing I'm writing down in red because marginal change always happens first. That's the independent change. That's the first variable that happens. Once a marginal change happens, it influences an average. Now, we may not be familiar with marginal and averages, but as students, we are very familiar with two averages. One is GPA and one is CGPA. Is there anybody in the class who doesn't know what a GPA and CGPA is? Is there anybody in the class who does not know what GPA and CGPA is?
I don't know, sir.
Don't know what GPA is?
No, sir.
Oh my God. What's your name?
So, Shanjina Afrin.
Acha, GPA হচ্ছে, you know, the grade that you get at the end of a semester in a course. That's called GPA. For example, if you get the top grade, your GPA is how much? 4 out of 4 now in the course?
Yes, sir.
That's the GPA. And what's the CGPA?
Cumulative, sir.
Total.
That's the average that you have from day one to the last observed semester. Okay. Now, in this semester, if your GPA is better than your previous semester, what will happen to your CGPA? Will your CGPA increase? Will it fall, or will it remain unchanged?
It will increase.
That's since we do we all agree that if my GPA improves better than the last semester, my CGPA will increase?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
If we all agree to that, then we have understood the concept of marginal and average change. If marginal is increasing, average must also be increasing. The best analogy for that is if your GPA in a particular semester has improved from the last semester, your CGPA must be increasing. The reverse will happen if your GPA is falls from the last semester, your CGPA will fall. And finally, if your GPA remains unchanged, your CGPA will remain unchanged. Now, when we said marginal change happens first, then the average changes. What we are trying to say is that unless you know your GPA, can you calculate your CGPA?
No, sir.
No.
Know your GPA, you cannot calculate your CGPA, right? So in this calculation, you need GPA calculation first. That's the first event that changes. Once we have our GPA calculation, then we can calculate the CGPA. We will be needing this concept when we just after we finish this particular topic today, elasticity of demand. We will go to the farm And then we will be using this concept a lot, that if marginal cost increases, average cost must increase. If total cost if average marginal cost falls, average cost will fall. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now?
Yes, sir.
If the cost
Yes, sir.
from one unit to the next unit increases than before, then average cost must also increase. We just keep our mind in our head that this is the same analogy as GPA and CGPA. And once we get into the graphs in the next week or the week after, depending on our progress, we will be able to understand it very clearly. Okay? So
Okay, sir.
it's not that difficult actually. Hey, here it is. So we have the analogy of GPA and CGPA. GPA is the marginal change, the change in your particular semester between say second and third semesters. Once we finish the third semester, then we can calculate GPA. Once we have GPA, we can calculate CGPA. So marginal change always happens first, our GPA calculation. This change, excuse me, this change will influence your average change. And the decision rule is very simple, what that we said a little while ago. If marginal is increasing, average must be increasing. So if you say marginal cost, then the next component would be average cost. If you say marginal utility, then the next component will be average utility. Okay, so if marginal remains unchanged, average will also remain unchanged. But this last condition has a particular implication. We'll be looking at that later. Okay, now before we get into the concept of present value, first of all, the marginal change, we are observing this marginal change in a particular period of time, say 1 month. So in 1 month, a factory or a production unit, it produces a certain amount over the month. Okay. What happens if we want to look at this same behavior over time? Each unit is 1 month now. So if we look at over 5 months, then the concept of marginal analysis will not be applicable. Why not? The concept of marginal analysis is applicable only for a particular time period. Now, let me give you an example. How much is a 1000 taka worth? Our highest note is 1000 taka. Our friends in Nepal, what is your highest note in Nepal? How many rupees? Is it 1000 rupees?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. 1,000. Yes, sir. It's 1,000.
Okay, so it's 1000 for you, it's 1000 for us as well. How much is a 1000 taka or a 1000 Nepali rupee worth? It's a tricky question, right?
It's worth 1,000.
It's worth 1000. Does everybody agree or somebody has different notions about it?
So could you please repeat the question? I didn't get.
How much is 1000 taka in Bangladesh or 1000 rupees in Nepal worth?
I think 1,000 taka in Nepali rupees is 1,200, 1,300.
Oh no, you're converting. No,
Like,
no, I'm
oh no.
in Nepal. You have a 1000 taka, 1000 rupee note. Now I'm asking you in Kathmandu or Pokhara or any other place in Nepal, how much is your 1000 rupee worth? How will you answer the question then?
I think
In
it's
mo
the same.
It's not the same. The
it
question
keep
is,
changes. Yes, sir.
it will depend on
Time.
over what period of time do you want to spend that 1000 rupee or taka. Let me give you an example now.
Sir, is it like it varies place to place and person to person?
No, it varies from time to time. Let's see how. Okay, we have a taka 1000 or a Nepalese rupee 1000 since we have Nepalese friends in our class. Now, if I'm going to spend this money right now I will buy a nice pizza. which is in Bangladesh is 1,000, or in Kathmandu it's 1,000 rupees. How much is 1,000 worth to me now? I'm going to spend it right now, the entire amount. How much
If you
is that?
convert it to, if you
No,
convert
no,
it to,
I'm not converting it to anything. If I'm in
okay.
Kathmandu, I have a 1,000 rupee note. I want to buy a pizza for 1,000 rupees. If I'm in Dhaka or any other place in Bangladesh, I have a 1,000 taka note. I want to buy a pizza for 1,000 taka. So how much is my money worth?
It will be 1,000, sir. But
It will
after
take
only
less.
for but
It
Exactly
will take
after
less in
1,000.
Nepal.
Exactly
but
1,000. Right?
yes, sir. But yes, sir. But if I spend it before or after 1 month, then it can be different because of time
Okay.
period.
Now let me give you another example. Again, I have now, let's stick to one country. I have 1,000 taka. Okay. I need 200 taka every day to travel to my work and come back home. I work 5 days a week. So how much money am I spending on traveling every week? 1,000.
1,000. Hmm.
Now, how much is this 1,000 worth to me now, today? It's worth only 200 taka. Does that make sense? I have 1,000 taka in my pocket, or 1,000 rupees in my pocket, and I spend 200 taka or 200 rupees every day to go to my work or my university and come back home. That's my traveling cost. I go 5 days a week. So how much is the 1,000 taka worth now? Is it worth 1,000 taka, or it's worth only 200 taka because I'm spending it only today?
It's only today, 200 taka.
It's 200 taka.
So that is the present value. The present value in the first case, we said that we are going to spend it right now. We're so hungry, and we see a sumptuous pizza, which is worth exactly what we have in our pocket. Then it is worth exactly 1,000 taka. That's the present value of the 1,000 taka, or 1,000 rupees. But if in our next case, we are spending the same amount of money over 5 days. So we have 5 periods. So in each period, what happens? Today, we start with 1,000. It becomes 800 at the end of the day. Tomorrow, we start with 800. It becomes 600. Then we start with 600. It becomes 400. And finally, 400 becomes 200, and 200 becomes 0. Okay. So what are we doing? Aren't we discounting? If somebody doesn't understand, just tell me.
Sir, why are we discounting this? We are subtracting, right?
Yes, addition and subtraction are the same thing. We just look at them in two different angles.
So why we are calling this discounting?
Okay, now very good question. I would have started like this. You said addition and subtraction, right?
Yes.
Very good. Addition, add, one is subtract. Subtract. When we add, what do we do? Do we add like this? Don't we add like this? We start with a little amount, small amount, and gradually plus. Yes.
Yes, sir.
And what do we do when we subtract? We start with a big amount and gradually we subtract, right? Isn't that what we do with subtraction?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
True, sir.
When we add, we call it accounting. And when we subtract, we call it discounting. Adding and subtraction are actually the same activity, just one is a mirror image of the other. When we add in accounting science, it's called accounting. We're adding. We start with a small amount and we add one, etc. With subtraction, we always start with a big amount, and then we slowly go behind. We start subtracting. Now discounting, then what is discounting? If discounting rate is say 20%, discounting rate is 20%, what information does this send? The money will be finished in 5 periods. Does that make sense now? If we say discounting rate is 20%, okay, can we say that the money will be finished in 5 periods?
Yes.
Yes,
And
sir.
we already gave this example over here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we are discounting 20% in each period, which is 200 taka or 200 rupees if we're in Nepal, then we finish this 1000 taka in 5 days or in 5 time periods. So right now, 1000 taka in my pocket is not worth 1000 taka. Because I'm going to discount it over a period of 5 periods, the present value is less than 1000. But if I'm going to not discount it, that means I'm going to spend the whole money right now. Then the value of the money is 1000 taka to me. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. Then let's get back to the thing is when we are looking
Sir,
at
I have one question, sir. Discounted মানে ভ্যালুর সাথে স্যার ইন্টারেস্ট রিলেটেড থাকে, আপনার এখানে তো ইন্টারেস্টের বিষয়ে কিছু বলা নাই।
interest is just when we are calculating on the basis of hundreds, right?
Yes, sir.
So if I say that this money is going to be spent over 5 time periods, ultimately it 20% হয়ে যায় না?
ও আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে।
Or if somebody says 1 upon 5, কথা তো একই দাঁড়াবে না? Won't it be the same thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. ঠিক আছে।
See, discount rate and interest rates are similar to each other. It's just a way of how we are looking at it. With interest rates, by definition, we always calculate against 100. Discount rates, we may not calculate against 100, okay? Got it? Okay,
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir.
great. So the thing is, when we are looking at a time series analysis, we're making the analysis over time, then we need to calculate that a benefit, we will enjoy it over say 5 years. For example, if we buy a car today, if anybody in this class has done accounting sciences, they know very well, according to straight line method, a car on paper lasts for only 5 years. So if we buy it for say $100 today, this benefit will be spread over 5 years. $20, $20, $20, $20. And then over the 5 years, no matter how much benefits we get from the car, there is an additional cost to maintain that car. So what do? We just do the same thing as we did with marginal benefit analysis. If the additional benefits over time are greater than additional costs over time, we will go for that analysis for that particular project. What's the difference? In marginal analysis, we looked at this thing in one period of time. In present value analysis, we're looking at this thing over a stream of time. Got it this time now? Am I clear? Acha. In marginal analysis, this thing, marginal benefit greater than marginal cost, then we say yes, we go for the activity. This was based on a particular piece of time, one period. But when we are buying a car, that car will last for say 5 years. So the benefits are not going to finish in 1 year. Will it finish in 1 year, or it will be spread over 5 years?
Spread over 5 years.
So the present value of the car cannot be the money that we bought it right now. Similarly, we also said that for any benefit that we want, we have to pay some additional cost. In the present value analysis, this cost is spread over time. In the marginal analysis, that cost was only for one period. But the principle remains the same. If our additional benefit over say 5 years is more than our additional cost, the stream of costs that we have to pay over 5 years, then we say that it is what do you call it? It is we go for that particular project. The lady who asked me, are you clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. So the net present value is very simple. A person was saying, okay, discounting 100 taka at 5%. So when we write it like this, it may look like an interest rate. It's not an interest rate actually. The thing is, we're just calculating in percentage wise. If I said, okay, 500 taka, 50 taka per time period, then the interest rate or the discount rate would be 10%. So we start off with 100 taka and we are subtracting now. So that's why the whole concept is called discounting. So up until now, is everything okay? What I tried to say?
Yes, sir.
Sir, almost.
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. Then let me stop this thing again. What is our next topic? Our next topic will be this one now. Okay. Now, when we sell something as business managers, we have to make a decision that we are making this particular product or particular service for a particular market. The first thing we want to know is who is our target audience. Now, I think I gave you this example in the last class or maybe in the other section that suppose a farm in Bangladesh or in Nepal, they want to introduce battery cars and they start fantastic advertising that, this is economic friendly, very good for the environment. It won't burn any fossil fuels, etc., etc. But the question is, once we launch it in Dhaka or in Kathmandu, we know very well that some people already have cars. Those who have cars, won't they have a high switching cost? If we want to sell the battery cars to people who already own cars, will they be very cooperative in changing?
No, sir.
So common sense would tell us that the target would be first-time buyers. First-time buyers are more flexible. So if we can, target them, then this will be a rational thing to do. Okay, because those who already have cars, they have a switching cost. For example, if I have a car which I bought say 2 years ago, I probably won't be changing until the car is say 10 years old. So if you come to me, you won't be able to attract me. But if I want to buy a car for the first time, or this is my second car, then you can target me. So in any demand analysis, the first thing is how do we target consumers? Next, are there switching costs? For example, the Pepsi Cola and the Coca Cola example that we gave, that if we go to our grocery store, if we find that the price of Pepsi has increased, we automatically switch to Coke because the switching cost is not that difficult. But suppose if I go to Pizza Hut in Bangladesh, if I ask for a beverage, they won't give me Coca Cola. Do you know that? If I go to Pizza Hut and ask for a beverage, not glass of water, ask for a beverage, will they give me Coca-Cola?
No, sir. It's
They will
Pepsi.
give me Pepsi Cola because they don't sell Coca-Cola. They have an agreement with Pepsi that with every pizza that they serve, if somebody wants a drink, it will be Pepsi or 7 Up. Okay. So what is the switching cost over there? The switching cost in that particular environment is much, much more difficult than if I go to my grocery stores downstairs. So when decision makers come to this type of a situation, then we have to take into consideration the switching costs. Finally, positioning is how do we present our product? How do we present it to the person that we want to sell it to? I'm going to come to these three right at the end. Okay, but before that, we'll do elasticity of demand. So up until now, the four topics that we covered, does anybody have any particular questions regarding it? Does anybody have any particular question? Shall I move on to elasticity of demand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay then. Okay, now let me let me say in my first. That is, the law of demand tells us if price increases, ceteris paribus, we expect demand to fall. That is more or less universal for all commodities, all services, all products. But common sense also tells us that different commodities respond different to price when it comes to demand. Does that make sense? If the price
Yes,
of
sir.
5 products fall by 5%, we cannot automatically say that their demand will increase by by the same amount for all the 5 commodities. For example, if the price of uh, say insulin increases by say 5%, those who take insulin, will they reduce their consumption of insulin?
No,
No.
sir.
No.
Because their demand for insulin has nothing to do with the price. It is a function of their health condition and what their physician has advised them to do. So if the physician says you have to take 1 insulin injection every day, or say 2 injections every day, even if the price increases by 1%, you are not going to reduce your consumption. That makes sense, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right,
Inelastic
sir.
demand.
That means the demand for insulin does not respond to price. It's not price responsive. That means elasticity is 0. When something responds to price, the demand, we say that its elasticity is greater than 1. When something does not respond to price, its demand does not respond to price, we say its elasticity is less than 1. We'll look at it in a little while, but try to visualize it so that we don't have problems with the mathematics. If something is responding, won't the ratio be greater than 1? Do you visualize it like that?
Yes, sir.
If something is not responding, then the ratio will probably be less than 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, since we have all agreed, let us go back to the whiteboard. Okay, elasticity of demand how responsive is demand to price change. So those who are not good in mathematics, or I won't say you're not good in mathematics, you're less confident in mathematics. If I want to measure this question, is it a good thing for me to express it as a ratio? Those who are not confident in mathematics, if I ask this, if I say that elasticity of demand is how responsive is demand to price change, I want to express it as a ratio. Do you have any problem with that?
No, sir.
Okay, I want to hear from another few people. If I want to express this as a ratio, does anybody have a problem?
No, sir.
Okay, in that
No,
case,
sir.
lovely. Then expect elasticity of demand is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Now, this is a ratio, right? Do we all agree?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
A ratio can only have 3 logical possibilities. Number 1, it can be greater than 1. Number 2, it can be equal to 1. Number 3, it can be less than 1. Are there any other logical possibilities for a ratio?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Because the ratio is just a numerator on the top, denominator on the bottom. If the top is greater than the bottom, we say that the ratio is greater than 1. If the top and the bottom components are same, we say they're equal to each other. So the ratio must be 1. And if we say that top is less than 1, so less than the bottom one, then the ratio is less than 1. There is no other logical possibility for a ratio to happen. Now, if we look at the first one, divided by change in percentage in price, this is greater than 1. Can we say this? Demand response to price change.
Yes, I'm here. 1, 2, 3, 8.
Okay.
But there's nobody here.
Yes, sir.
We can say that. Then if price
Where are you?
increases by say 1%, what will happen to quantity demanded?
As I said,
Or by more than 1%? Do we agree with this statement? If price increases by 1%, quantity demanded falls by more than 1%, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The opposite will also be true. If price falls by 1%, quantity demanded will increase by more than 1%. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what implication does this have? If the price falls by 1%, who are the quantity demanded? The households. They buy more than 1%. What happens to your revenue? Price has fallen by 1%. People's response is more than 1%. What happens to revenue? Does revenue go up or go down after the price change?
I think goes up.
Revenue is equal to price times quantity. Price falls by 1%. Okay. Quantity demanded is more than 1%. People buy more than what the price fell. So what happens to revenue? Revenue will go up or go down?
It will go down.
It will go down.
We cannot say that. That means we cannot say
No, sir.
that.
Sorry,
That may go down, that may go up.
Okay, now once we get to the graph, it will be clear. Let's try to visualize it. If price falls by 1%, people buy 2% more. That's greater than.
sir.
So what will happen to revenue?
Revenue will
Increase, sir.
Then it will definitely increase. By this opposite token, for this one, revenue is equal to price times quantity. Okay, what do we have over here? Price increases by 1%, and sales are more than 1%. What will happen to here? Revenue now. This is the price increase. You're happy, but this is what happened with the consumers. They started to buy very much little.
Yes.
Revenue will fall or increase?
Will fall, sir.
All.
Fall. Okay, now we have come to a very important implication with price elasticity of demand. If our demand is price responsive, if the elasticity of demand is greater than 1, then if we know this information beforehand, then as a business manager, we will be trying to reduce the price of our commodity in order to increase revenue. In Bangladesh or in Nepal, in a high-end fashion house, what happens? Don't they always tell you that okay, this month these particular ranges of fashions will be reduced by 5%? Don't they always say that? Why? Because high-end products, if the price falls by 5%, then the business managers expect that the sales will increase by more than 5%. So what will happen? Revenue will increase, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if your product is price responsive, you want to reduce the price in order to increase revenue. The reverse is true if your product is not price responsive. For example, insulin. If the demand for insulin is such that if I reduce the price, people will not buy more. So what do? Won't I increase the price slowly?
No, sir.
If
Slowly
the
we
price,
will increase, sir.
if the demand for
Sir,
insulin,
will increase because the demand will remain same.
so the revenue will increase then, right? Now let us look at the, what do you call it? Now let's look at the, where is it? Okay. So one example is if the price of insulin increases by say 5%, how will its demand respond for a diabetic patient? Which one of the which one of the four is correct? Number one, number two, number three, or number four? If the price
Does not
Number 4.
decrease. Number 4.
Number four.
Sir, number 4.
Lovely. Then now you just think from common sense. If a injection costs 100 taka today, tomorrow it's 105. People are not going to reduce their consumption because it's not price responsive, the demand. So naturally, the revenue of the pharmaceutical industry will increase, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Another is that insulin injections don't have a very close substitute. In the grocery shop, we had substitutes. If the price of Coca-Cola increased, then we just switched to Pepsi because the switching cost was not that difficult. But in the something like insulin, okay, where you don't have a substitute, if the price increases, the revenue must increase for the farm. Now think about this example. A high-end mobile. If you're selling a high-end mobile, what will you do? Will you increase the price to increase revenue or decrease the price to increase revenue?
Decrease the price to increase revenue.
Why do you think like that? A person who said that you want to decrease?
If we decrease the price, definitely the demand for that product will increases, and ultimately our revenue will also be increased.
It will increase because it is responding to the price change. The ratio is greater than 1. The demand responds compared to the price, which is in the denominator, right? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Lovely. Then, so let's look at this graph. Now we can look at the graph and it will become very easy. Look, this is inelastic demand on the left. This is elastic demand on the right. So what do we mean by inelastic? It is not responding to price change. What do we mean by elastic demand? It is responding to price change. Over here in inelastic demand, what happens? Price increases from P1 to P2. So what happens to the revenue? Is this the added revenue that the firm will enjoy?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And what is this rectangle? Before the price, this was the revenue of the firm, this big rectangle. After the price change, after the price increase, this is the loss in the sales. People bought less, but isn't this rectangle smaller than the big rectangle?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So what does that mean? The change in quantity demanded is less than the change in price. Go back to our
স্যার এই জিনিসটা ক্লিয়ার হলাম না, একবার বললে ভালো হয়।
let me সবচেয়ে ভালো হয়, let me do it in the graph. গ্রাফে করলেই সবচেয়ে ভালো হবে. Once you see it, you find that it's not that difficult. Okay, now this is price, this is quantity. Now we're doing, this is demand, price is increasing, P1 to P2. Price increases from P1 to P2. P1 to P2. Now, before that, what is this? We see that this is an increase in revenue now. What was the revenue before the price? This was the revenue, right? Before the price change. Price has increased from P1 to P2. Before the price change, this big yellow rectangle was the revenue of the firm. Because of the price change, and because demand does not respond, the total revenue now is this much. Do you agree? The person who wanted to see it in graph?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what we are interested in is this rectangle and this rectangle. Isn't this rectangle percentage change in price? Isn't this rectangle percentage change in quantity demanded? If you agree, then
Yes.
the problem is solved.
Yes, yes, sir.
Now, which one is larger? The percentage change in price or the percentage change in quantity demanded? Let me get back now. Where is it? Ah.
Sir, here revenue area of the rectangle is the revenue of the supplier, manufacturer actually.
So, which one is larger? This rectangle or this rectangle?
Upper one is larger, sir.
Okay, if the upper one is larger, I also agree with you. Then the upper one is percentage change in price. Lower one is percentage change in quantity demanded. Okay, so if the percentage change in quantity demanded is less than the percentage change in price, that means it is not responding to demand, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In that case, now just look at the reverse. If we reduce the price from P2 to P1, over here when we increased it from P1 to P2, we were happy. Our additional revenue was more than the loss that we would have in sales. Now suppose somebody thought that, okay, let us reduce the price from P2 to P1. What will happen? They will lose this revenue, but that revenue will be the added income increase in demand will be only this much, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you are a business manager, just look at this graph, the relatively inelastic graph on the left pole. That is, will you increase the price or decrease the price?
Increase the price.
Correct. And if your product is price responsive, then look over here, they just showed you that you decrease the price. Then this is the revenue that you lose, but people's demand is responding, so they buy much more. They buy from Q1 to Q2. So if you know that your commodity is price responsive, then you will increase the price. Sorry, decrease the price. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have one observation.
Sure.
Sir, from consumer perspective, consumer expects that the product should be should have price responsive, should be price responsive. But from the manufacturer perspective, they want more profit. Therefore, they want so that their product should not be very much price responsive.
They don't want it. Can you give an example to verify your claim?
Such like, sir, the insulin product, because the insulin manufacturer wants so that their insulin product should be in the inelastic state,
Okay.
so that they can generate more profit. But
Correct.
if but this insulin is price responsive, then their profit won't be so much as expected, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you. And did you remember that I used 3 terms before we started elasticity? Targeting, switching cost, positioning.
Exactly.
We are going to bring them back again. Okay, and then probably your query or your doubt will be verified. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me know at the end if you agree with me. This is the demand for insulin. Price goes up, people still buy the same amount. Price goes down, people still buy the same amount. So if you are pharmaceutical working in the pharmaceutical industry, yeah, and your pharmaceutical say Square is producing an insulin injection, what will you do? Won't you increase the price in order to increase your revenue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. Now comes the factors that affect elasticity other than price. Price is the main factor, yes, but in reality, we have to ask ourselves about the substitutes. Now, Square is one of many pharmaceuticals in Bangladesh that has the capability of producing insulin injection. If Square knows very well that if they can increase their product, the price, and others don't increase, others, they also increase, then everybody benefits, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you launch your product, Square will not be able to use this insulin example, because if Square increases its product, people will automatically go to an alternative. Another, say, Jason company or another company, General Pharmaceuticals, they will go to switch to their particular product. But if you have a Mudid Dokan in your goli, in your alley in Dhaka city, isn't that a monopoly, a local monopoly?
Yes, little bit, sir.
Why? Because although you can go to the superstore and buy your product, you will not always be able to go to the superstore, right?
Yes, sir.
So the Mudid Dokan or the grocery in your particular alley, it's a local monopoly, because it knows very well that if I charge a little bit more for the products, people are not going to go. Say, I live in the Elephant Road. New Market is not too far away from me. It's only 10 to 15-minute walk. But every time I'm not going to be able to go to New Market in order to buy something at a reduced price. So what happens? The substitute is not, the alternative is buying from New Market rather than buying from my grocery shop downstairs. But the alternative is not easily accessible to me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So in that case, the Mudid Dokan, if you want to if you want to sell something in your local grocery, there are lots of commodities which you can sell at a higher price and get away. Because people at say 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock at the night, they're not going to go to New Market. Maybe New Market is closed by that time. So how close are the substitutes? Number one, how easily available are the substitutes? Number two. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Second argument is, how big is the commodity in your total budget? When we go to a superstore and we come to the cash counter to pay, Don't you see that in every superstore there are lots of small items in terms of the cash counter, like battery, chewing gum? Have you noticed?
Yes, sir.
Why don't they sell meat? Why don't they sell a nice fish at the checkout?
Sometimes they give as the change.
No, when you go to the cash counter, you'll find that they're selling little batteries, okay, AA, AAA batteries, or they're selling chewing gum, small items. They're not selling
Think,
a big expensive item. Why not?
think,
Fishes are perishable.
Sorry?
things we think we forgot every most often and buy it when we
No,
see.
no, no, no. If the price of a chewing gum, do you when you go to the superstore, do you go for to buy chewing gum only, or you buy chewing gum as a part of your weekly grocery?
Part of the entire grocery.
That's 99% times that's how people go. I might go to my local Udit Dokan for chewing gum, but I'm not going to buy a chewing gum from the superstore. Just go there to buy a chewing gum. So the chewing gum is a very small percentage in my total expenditures. So what happens? These superstores, what they do once they get the consumer inside their shop, they know very well that the consumer is going to respond to a price change in, say, meat, an expensive fish, or some cosmetic items. If the price of the chewing gum increases by 15%, do you think people are going to reduce their consumption? Will they notice that price change?
No, sir. People do not notice.
They won't notice because the chewing gum is a very small percentage in their total expenditure. So what happens is, if the good that you are going to sell, now the question of positioning comes in. Where do you put the chewing gum? Do you put the chewing gum in the aisle, or you put the chewing gum in just before they're going to, what do you call it, checkout? You will definitely put the chewing gum in the checkout because people are waiting in the queue. They get impatient. They see a little chewing gum. Okay, let me take the chewing gum. Or they see some batteries, AA, AAA batteries. I might need one, and they buy it. You will never find very expensive items in the checkout because by that time somebody has finished their groceries. So one thing is the next factor: how big is the good in our total expenditure? If it's a small percentage, we will not notice the price change. So you can think about, launching something like this, positioning the good. We already discussed it a little while ago that we can position it in the checkout. Now, everybody close your eyes and think about a sunset or a sunrise. Where do you see the sun? In the middle of the horizon?
Yes, sir.
Does anybody see the sun on the left or the right?
No.
So universally, and maybe our friends in Nepal will say no. We see the sun go up and down because they see it on the other side of the Annapurna range. Okay, but in Bangladesh, when we see a sunset or a sunrise in a river or the sea, we always biologically, evolutionarily, we position the product to the sun to be in the middle of the horizon in our frame. If you go to a what do you call it, the supermarket, the most expensive stuff are always in the middle of the aisle. When you see an aisle, the vision is, say, five feet. If it is 5 feet from left to right, then the most expensive items will always be in the middle. Next time you go and check it. I'll give you another positioning. If you enter a supermarket, which is one floor, only one floor. Think about a supermarket that is one floor. Agora in Shimanto Square. Have you all gone to Agora?
Yes, sir.
Acha. When you enter Agora, you carry on walking and carry on walking and carry on walking. What is at the last end? What type of products are in the last end? You will find expensive fish, you will find expensive meat, and you will find expensive vegetables, right?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Why,
sir.
why is it positioned like that? Can just use your common sense. Because when somebody goes to Agora, they usually go for a weekly groceries or 2 weeks groceries or whatever. So they will definitely buy the meat. So put the meat at the last end. Before they reach the meat, they will see other things and they will start buying those things. So even if they came for the meat, they will end up buying other products, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is known as a lost leader. Okay. And then
Sir,
some
lost leader.
lost leader, yes. For example, you enter Agora and this is the mango season, and they put a very big notice that we have mangoes from Rajshahi and they're selling for only this amount of money for per kg. You see that item and you enter the shop, but after that, the mangoes are lost. You end up buying other things as well. So you see, the positioning of the good that you want to sell is very important. How do you position it? How does the consumer perceive a good? Next is the time period of adjustment, which was the switching cost. If it takes time to switch from, I already have a car, and therefore, if I buy another car, I might not want to buy another car. But if it's a second purchase, then I will respond. Next thing is the good a necessity or a luxury? If the good is a necessity, then you will definitely find it at the end of the superstore. If you've entered Unimart in Shatmoji Road, at the end of the bottom on the ground floor is all where the meat and the fish is, right? Have you noticed? Those of you who have gone to Unimart in Shatmoji Road, on the ground floor you will find all the meat and the
Yes, sir. Yes,
fish.
sir. Yes, sir.
Because these are when people go for weekly groceries, they will definitely buy meat and fish. So put them at the last. So is this a good? So this is another example of how to position something. Finally, the good that you want to market, how many uses does that good have? Does it have multiple uses? Then your demand will respond in one way. Does it have only specific uses? Your demand will respond in another way. Now, this brings us to
Sir,
our
I have one question, sir.
sure.
Sir, positioning, the example you have given, the super shop. Suppose, from my context, suppose I am visiting a super shop for the first time,
Okay.
and I am tracing the entire path of the super shop, and I have found the meat section at the last end of the super shop.
Okay.
But once I have gone through that super shop, the second time, suppose I want the meat only, I will go to the end.
Direct, and you buy your meat and come back out, right?
Though my question is, how is the positioning will be addressed in the second time?
Okay. Now, how many people go to a super shop to buy only meat? When they go to the super shop, they usually go for buying their weekly groceries, right?
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So now, if you are a very clever person and you have identified that you don't buy more than 5 items from a super shop, and you will never buy more than 5 items, and these particular 5 items. Second time, you are not you are not the person that they're interested in. They are interested in, most of the people, they go for weekly groceries. So the most expensive things have to be at the last, because people they know very well people have come to buy meat, people have come to buy fish, people have come to buy vegetables and fruits, etc., which are the more expensive things. They're all at the end of the shop.
I see, sir.
You get it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if it is that you okay, the super shop is just 10-minute walk from you, you can just go there and buy your chewing gum and come back home. But if you're going for a weekly grocery, chances are very, very high you will also buy other stuff. Okay?
Sir, I have another question. Yeah, for the positioning point, you have given us the example of super shop. Mike, is there any other example you can give us where there is really randomness available? Suppose I am facing in the second time, I will also be the victim of positioning.
They want you to be the victim of position because they have to sell their product. If you were in their position, you would have done the same thing. How can I make my product lucrative? Where do I position it? How do I position it? Okay?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now you got the logic?
Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir.
In my case, my wife does all the shopping. I go to the superstore once a month or even maybe once every 3 months. She gets whatever I need. So when I go to the super shop, I don't go for weekly groceries. I go for exactly 1 or 2 items. I know where they are. I just enter, I buy them and come back out. But I am not a good customer for the super shops. And people like me are maybe 0.01% of their total clientele. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now what I'm going to do now, this is the assignment. The previous section, they also had 3 days. So you will also have 3 days. The thing is, you develop a business model in the context of Bangladesh. Our Nepalese friends can do it in the context of Nepal, no problem. But you have only two informations about the product. Number one, the product is inelastic in demand. In the other section, I made it elastic in demand. So in your section, you will write a product that is inelastic. That means it does not respond to the price changes. Number one. Number two, you are aware of the various factors that affect elasticity of demand or price responsiveness, availability and closeness of substitutes, percentage of consumers' budget, how will the good will be positioned. I discussed super shops. You can discuss something else. Time period of adjustment, you also know. And finally, you know whether the good is a necessity or the good have multiple functions. Now, in your particular case, you might say that, okay, I don't need this factor. The last one, I don't even need the last two. I want to focus on only these two, four, these four factors. No problem, you do that. If you say that, no, I want to focus on only 3 of these 6 factors, no problem. The main thing is you want to launch a product in the context of Bangladesh or Nepal, since we have some Nepalese friends, and you know that it's not responding to price, it's inelastic in demand, plus you know some factors. You will write only your name, your section number, and your ID. There will be no cover page. Okay? Just you write at the top your name.
Sir, ওইখানে কি after elasticity of demand হবে নাকি inelasticity of demand হবে?
Sorry? Can you repeat again? Echo হচ্ছে।
Inelasticity of demand হওয়ার কথা না, যেহেতু আমার নাম্বার 1 inelastic লেখা, নাম্বার 2 এর কোশ্চেনটা কি inelasticity of
না ওইটা সমস্যা না। You know that the demand is inelastic in demand, okay? The good is inelastic in demand and you are aware of the factors that affect the elasticity of demand. Okay, no problem, I'll change it. If you want, no problem, it won't make a difference.
Sir, I have a quiz on Wednesday, so can I get a day extra?
No, you won't get a day because I'm taking more than one quiz and the worst one will be deducted. Okay, because it won't be possible to accommodate like this for everybody. I mean, at least aro duta nibo. So so if you do bad in one, that won't be counted. Okay.
Sir, have you announced the quiz date? Sorry.
Yes, it's written here. Look. Deadline.
When, sir?
See, it's written at the end.
Oh,
Deadline.
okay.
And you submit in the Google Classroom. If you have problems submitting in the Google Classroom, you can submit to my email address. But the thing is, you have to write your name, your ID, and your section. And you don't have to, what do you call it, give a cover page with the BRAC university logo, etc. Just 2 sides of a page. So if you are composing two pages. So you can write the bibliography, and please try to write on your own. If you don't write on your own, I might check it in the plagiarism. Okay, then turn it in. All right.
Sir, it means the assignment should be just summary for my clearance, clear concept. The assignment should be I have to develop a business model which about the good which is inelastic in demand.
Correct.
And later I have to how can I develop that model? Is it?
Yeah, using the factors of, that affect the elasticity of demand. Okay.
Okay, sir.
In today's class, we showed 6 factors. If you think that you can introduce another one that we haven't discussed, no problem.
Okay, sir.
Secondly, you don't have to give graphs and mathematics and etc. You just try to sell the idea to me that this is the product I want to develop. It's inelastic in demand. These are the factors that will affect the demand, and this is how I'm going to position it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Does that product need to be newly formatted?
Sorry?
Does that product newly formulated? Is it necessary?
That's up to you. Look, we had a question here. Is the good a necessity or a luxury, right?
Yes, sir.
It has to be a necessity if it is inelastic. Luxury goods are usually elastic in demand. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I gave you a clue. Any other questions, anybody?
Sir, will it be handwritten or MS Word?
No, MS Word.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
স্যার অ্যাসাইনমেন্টটা কি এরকম যে আমার ইনইলাস্টিক ডিমান্ড বাট ওটাকে আমি কিভাবে ইলাস্টিক ডিমান্ড করব এরকম কিছু?
No. The demand is inelastic. That means it does not respond to price. Plus, you know the factors that influence the demand for that commodity. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Then how do you position it? Will you target new buyers? Will you target second-time buyers? That's up to you.
স্যার স্যার এটা কত মার্কের হবে স্যার এই অ্যাসাইনমেন্টটা?
Oh, marks doesn't matter. If it's 10, your target is to get 90%.
Okay, sir.
If it's 20, your target still will be 90%. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I take it only 1 mark, so your target will be to cross 0.9. Now got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Marks is immaterial because the grade is actually based on a percentage.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in the upper section, my ID and section and will be mentioned.
Yeah, your name, your ID and section. Because since I'm taking both the sections, okay. So if so that they don't get mixed up, section 1 and 2.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Right, so some people have written chats.
Sir, by 2 p.m. is it?
At 2 p.m. right? Yeah. Sayadur, are you here, Sayadur?
Yes, sir.
Sir, is it possible to extend that?
I have already sent the slides.
Sir, is it possible to extend the time up to 8 p.m.?
No. Because I have to check 50 scripts.
Oh, I see.
The checking scripts is a nightmare, trust me. And
oh, sir, matter is we are the official person actually.
Then you start today. You have to, for example, in your office, if you have an annual general meeting, you have to be well prepared, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's part of life. Acha, oh yes, Nishat has already said that it's already uploaded in the FB group. So Saidur, you can check the week 4 slides from the FB group. Okay, sir?
Okay, sir, I have found it.
Oh,
Thank
you
you.
found, right. That's good. Then your problem has been solved. Acha. If nobody has any questions right now, I'll stop. If you have any questions, just ask me in the Facebook group. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Ask in the Facebook group. I'll যেটা হয় কি, maybe after 1 hour you remember you should have asked me something. Just ask in the Facebook group. I'll answer there so that everybody can share, and I'll upload the today's class in after 1 hour. Okay? It takes some time to upload these things.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then
Okay,
everybody
sir.
have a good day and a good week. So I'm signing off now. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Good night.
Good night,
Yes,
everybody.
sir.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.